Let me set the focus. Okay, go.
Hi, my name is Clayton Patterson. This is Clayton Presents Victoria Film Festival, and I am here with
Sean Christensen.
Sean Christensen. Sean's an interesting person because he's here. He's wearing one of these VIP passes, but he's not a participant in the film festival. He supports the film festival. So rather than just coming here and buying a ticket, he bought a VIP film pass because he really loves independent film. So tell us, what kind of film do you like?
Well, I love film that goes off the beaten path. It makes you think. It doesn't necessarily have a set beginning and ending. It's not formulaic like your Hollywood productions. And I just find them to be more artistic, a little more in depth, and revealing, and more thought provoking.
And what do you think of the festival?
Love it. It's been great. We've had a lot of good films shown so far. I really loved the one that they showed last night about Camp 72.
Oh, Camp 72, yeah, that was a serious movie.
Again, that's what we're talking about when you have something that draws emotion out of you. You know, several times through that film, for example, I found myself just shaking my head, just not believing what I was seeing.
Okay, and I have a photo show here that goes along with the Victoria Film Festival. Do you want to ask me some questions about this? This is Avenue A, New York City, 1992.
Okay.
This is what shows you how much the city has changed. In 1992, this was a main avenue going up Avenue A. So this is buses, one of the main arteries through the Lower East Side. And there was a whole conflict over the homeless and like that. So the people would take over the streets. And it was about the whole reorganization of the police department in New York City. So this had gone on since 1988. There was a riot. I did a 3-hour and a 33-minute videotape, which became known as the Tompkins Square Park Police Riot. And anyway, this was getting to be the end of this period of time. By the time we got to 1993, the police were totally in control of the streets, and this kind of activity was over. And then now, you know, with national security and all of that. So in 1988, they couldn't close a 10.5-acre square park in the Lower East Side. By 1993, they could pretty well close down the city. Then when 2001 came along, they were able to close down 3 international airports, bridges, tunnels, subways, ferries, everything, street traffic, vehicles. This is CBGB's, the famous club. So this is back in the 80s. CB's was still around. CB's was kind of known as the beginning of punk in America and like that. 313 Gallery was the gallery next door. Hilly Crystal, the person that ran and owned CB's, opened up an art gallery. And actually, now that you mention it, Camp 72, this person here, his name is Q Sakamaki, he's a war photographer. So he was actually in Liberia when the war was going on. So that was like this would probably, I gave him a show at my place. This was probably 1995. And so what I'm looking at doing, possibly asked the lady last night, about maybe Q could have a showing of his photographs during the war period. And then she has Camp 72, which follows after the war. That'd be phenomenal. That'd be great, right? Here's another shot from around 92, taking over Avenue A. This a little later, this is when there was an eviction of squats. This would be about 1995, I believe. And there were 5 squats in this building, 13th Street between A and B, New York City, Lower East Side. And so there was a big resistance. And prior to the police getting there, people flipped over a car. They poured oil down the street. They blocked off the street. They had a few little fires and things. Police eventually rounded up here. There were hundreds of them, and they eventually took them out. They actually brought in what looked like a tank. It's an armored personnel carrier. And then over here we have, this was one of the last sort of free living spaces on the Lower East Side. This was on one of the main streets, St. Mark's, and this was called the Cave. And so these people had basically taken over, squatted this building, and lived in it. And they lived in it with sort of found objects from the street, completely decorated the walls, and lived in a total artistic environment. And that was the Cave on Avenue A, St. Mark's between A and First Avenue. This here is probably about 1986. This is around the corner for me. This is when they had drugs were rampant on the Lower East Side. This was a bodega that sold coke, and so this was a drug arrest. And it was interesting. This little kid's going down the block. That's the cop, and he that's one of the major drug dealer's sons. His father ran a spot called Hellraiser, and Hellraiser was a famous heroin on the Lower East Side. And the bags used to be stamped, and on this, so the stamp on this bag was Hellraiser. So that's an arrest of one of the employees from the store that was selling coke. This is the cave. Anthony produced these lovely photographs. This is on a metallic paper, or I don't know what it is, a plate, paper, something like that, and then it's mounted on wood. So it gives a really fresh, crisp, rich texture. So these two are on metallic. And this is the other picture. So this is sort of I have hundreds of pictures of the Lower East Side. I've documented it for a long time. I've lived in the Lower East Side since 1979. Still live there. And I've taken a lot of pictures. So very good. Thank you very much. Thank you for supporting the festival.
Sure.
We really need people like you,
Sure.
and without you, the festival wouldn't exist. So it's great.
Sure. I do have a